Hello and welcome to In Summary. Central Texas is facing one of the deadliest flash floods in recent history. Torrential rains caused rivers to rise dramatically, sweeping through towns and communities with little warning. The floods claimed over 80 lives, including many children at a summer camp, and caused billions in damages. Today we'll break down what happened, how rescue efforts unfolded, and what it means for the future of flood safety in the region. In early July 2025, Central Texas was struck by one of the most devastating flash flood events in recent history. The floods primarily affected Kerr County and the surrounding Texas Hill Country, a region notorious for rapid flooding due to its hilly terrain and narrow river valleys, often referred to as Flash Flood Alley. The event was triggered by a stalled weather system that brought unprecedented rainfall over a very short period, overwhelming rivers and communities and leading to tragic loss of life and widespread damage. In early July, a mesoscale convective system stalled over the region, fueled in part by moisture remnants from Tropical Storm Barry, which had weakened but left significant humidity in the atmosphere. Over the course of just a few hours, parts of central Texas received between 5 to 11 inches of rain. The Guadalupe River, already evacuated from prior rains, surged dramatically. In Kerr County, the Guadalupe River rose approximately 26 feet in less than an hour, an astonishing and deadly rate that left residents with virtually no time to evacuate. The intense rainfall and rapid rise in water levels led to flash floods that overwhelmed infrastructure such as bridges and roads, cutting off access and complicating emergency responses. Kerr County suffered devastating losses. At least 84 people lost their lives, including 28 children, with many more still reported missing in the immediate aftermath.
There's a lot of discussion about casualties, how many fatalities, a lot of discussion about how many people are missing. And I've been advised not to use any numbers. We do have some numbers, but we're not going to use them at this time. We'll have another meeting. What is it, 3 o'clock? We have another one? And hopefully be able to flesh out some of those numbers. But suffice it to say, this has been a very devastating and deadly flood. Actually, most of them, we don't know who they are. We're having to have fingerprint them at the funeral home. And one of them was completely naked. He didn't have any ID on him at all. So we're trying to get the identity of these folks, but we don't have it yet.
One of the most heart-wrenching tragedies occurred at Camp Mystic, a Christian summer camp located near Hunt in Texas. Approximately 750 campers and staff were on site when the flash waters struck suddenly and without adequate warning. 27 individuals, campers and staff alike, perished in the flood, marking the event as one of the deadliest in the area's history. The rapid flooding caught many by surprise, with flash flood warnings either delayed or not effectively communicated to vulnerable populations. Emergency sirens reportedly failed to activate, raising questions about local preparedness and response protocols. The suddenness of the floodwaters overwhelmed even well-practiced rescue plans.
This happened very quickly over a very short amount of time that could not be predicted, even with the radar. Our team constantly reviews radar, constantly has NWS or National Weather Service messages. We send them out on a regular basis and we communicate effectively. This is not like a tornado where you can have a siren. This is not like a hurricane where you're planning weeks in advance. You know, it hit hard, and things like this happen in a very strategic, very isolated area. And when those two things converged, you had what happened today. So this happened within less than a 2-hour span, very, very quickly.
In response, more than 400 state and federal emergency responders were dispatched. Rescue teams used boats and helicopters to reach stranded residents, successfully evacuating roughly 850 people in the days following the flood. However, the geography of the hill country, with steep, rocky hills and narrow canyons, posed serious challenges. Swift currents and debris-laden waters delayed rescue operations, and some areas remained inaccessible for hours. Rescue efforts were further complicated by hazardous conditions. Floodwaters were contaminated with bacteria and sewage, increasing health risks for survivors and rescuers alike. Additionally, drone interference became a problem. Unauthorized drones flying in the area caused a collision with a rescue helicopter, forcing temporary suspension of aerial operations. As floodwaters began to recede, local animal welfare organisations mobilised to assist displaced pets and livestock. They managed to rescue dozens of dogs and cats, reuniting many with their owners, and set up temporary shelters for those left orphaned by the disaster. Community organisations, local businesses, and restaurants joined forces to provide aid. Many local establishments turned into collection hubs for relief goods, and fundraisers were launched to assist those affected by the disaster. The economic toll of the floods is estimated to be between $18 and $22 billion, making it one of the costliest natural disasters in Texas history. The damage included destroyed homes, flooded businesses, washed out roads, and damaged utilities. Infrastructure repair and rebuilding efforts were projected to take months, if not years. In response to the disaster, President Trump declared Kerr County a federal disaster area, enabling the release of federal funds and resources to assist in recovery efforts. And state officials pledged to review emergency protocols to prevent similar failures in future events. Search efforts are still ongoing, with dozens missing. Flash flood warnings remained in effect due to additional storms moving through the region, keeping residents on edge. The event sparked intense scrutiny of local emergency response systems. Officials faced criticism for inadequate early warning dissemination, failure to activate flood sirens, and insufficient evacuation procedures, particularly concerning youth camps and other vulnerable locations. Investigations were launched to evaluate the causes of communication breakdowns and to recommend improvements. Community organisations, local businesses and restaurants joined forces to provide aid. Community leaders promised a thorough review of emergency preparedness once the search and rescue phase was complete. The 2025 floods highlighted the vulnerability of Central Texas and other similar regions to extreme weather events. Meteorologists and climate scientists pointed to climate change as a factor increasing the frequency and intensity of such storms, with warmer air holding more moisture, leading to heavier rainfall. The disaster underscored the urgent need for better infrastructure planning, flood mitigation strategies, and improved early warning systems to protect lives in flood-prone areas. The July 2025 Texas floods stand as a tragic reminder of nature's power and the challenges of preparing for sudden extreme weather conditions. The loss of life, especially at Camp Mystic, devastated communities and brought attention to emergency response shortcomings. Massive rescue efforts saved hundreds, whilst recovery and rebuilding efforts continue. The event has prompted calls for improved flood preparedness to reduce risks in the future.